Hello.
Hello.
How is everybody tonight?
I'm good.
All right, let me
How are
see.
you?
I'm good. I'm excellent. It's Wednesday night, second week. Everybody's doing well, I think. We got a good show. We got a lot of different things that happened this week. A lot of different stuff. Again, as usual. So we'd like to promote, if you can, join us in auto activism. Be involved, jump in. We're starting to grow it a little bit more. But it'll be helpful if you join in. So, where do we start?
What the usual? The Convoy Watch.
Yes. Convoy Watch. So, I did say last week we were going to stop kind of doing it because it's kind of done. They kind of gave up. They're kind of a mess. They don't know what they're doing. I can go on and on about this, but But then this come out. So this was noticed last week. Got wind of this through, again, Cookie Lady, as well as a couple other sources. We're starting to go around. So there seems to be a movement here. In this particular case, it's from Thursday, February 16th to Sunday, February 19th is one of the first messages we saw. It's calling all patriots, DJs, vendors, speakers, all show up in Ottawa and set something up. So kind of feels a little disorganized there. Calling for everybody. I want to have a barbecue.
Bring your speakers, bring your music.
I want to have a backyard barbecue party. So barbecue cooks, guys with barbecues, guys with hot dogs, DJs and music and beer guys, just show up. Show up.
Elmo can show up with the kitchen sink.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's what they're trying to do here.
Does it even say where to go? Just at the flame? They're just reignite the flame?
So I'm assuming the flame. Like if they do reignite the flame and show up at LeBreton Flats, I'm like, kind of missed the mark there with the messaging. But you know what?
So Thursday the 16th. Okay. That's the long weekend, right? That's Family Day weekend for Ontario and a couple of other provinces. I don't remember.
Don't know. That's a good question.
I'm pretty sure I don't remember which day Family Day is.
February 20th. So they start and end the day before Family Day.
So they can get home still if they're in Ontario or the other two. I'm pretty sure there's two other provinces that share the same Family Day, but I don't remember.
Alberta's another one. I know Alberta has it.
I feel like Alberta is, Yeah,
they do. I remember from a previous employer, I remember they had it for quite a long time. They had it and we didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
Working there.
Yeah, that's right.
It took a while.
Okay, well, good for them.
They had this as well as on the same quarter window.
This one's from the 14th to the 19th.
Yes, this is also Ron. I keep wanting to say Ron Jeremy, but Jeremy Glass, not the same guy. No. He's got. So I've been learning a little bit about Jeremy Glass from sources and whatnot. He's got a bit of a following. So he does have a bit of a following in regards to people. He's done a fair amount of activity around this kind of stuff. So him coming to Ottawa, that might bring some people.
Yeah.
Some of the other protests we've seen him at, he's had some other followers coming with him. So he does.
He's just for if anybody doesn't know, he's the one that was kicked out of POEC the first time with Mimi. They were the ones who were tossed out, and then shortly after, the commissioner removed the entire room and put them into the overflow room.
I want to point out that basically what I've learned about Jeremy Glass and what we know about Mimi, they must make a swell couple. I'm sure they're not dating or anything, but
no, they're not. He's the one that looks like I call him. What do I call him again? Darn it! He's the one that looks like He-Man. Faker. He-Man has an evil twin named Faker, so that's what I call him.
Is he jacked like He-Man?
No, but he has the blonde, straight hair, cut right where He-Man has his hair cut, and he has like sort of the face, like he looks like He-Man.
It's kind of a sad look.
You got blocked by Mimi today on my thread. She's been messaging me. I think she's here. Hi, Francine. She's here.
Oh, I didn't know she was on Twitter.
I don't think it's Twitter, but we posted on Facebook, so I'm pretty sure she's watching.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. For those who aren't aware, we stream to Twitch, clearly.
Yeah.
Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yeah.
So always check out the YouTube's definitely on there.
Oh, on Resistance Cats. So she's bugging Resistance Cats too. All right. Well,
yeah, a lot of people like to bug Resistance Cats. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So it looks like we may still have some convoy activity happening up in February
in Ottawa. Yeah.
In Ottawa. It looks like they're also trying to do this whole, let's have this sort of moment, like we're trying to get the same sort of movement all over the place.
Well, so, I think they're trying to make it worldwide too. I feel like they're trying to get other countries to join in.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you check with Bauda, he's very much on the idea of a worldwide thing because, you know, he's got this whole idea of a whole world unity thing.
Yeah.
But I think also they want to try to do a countrywide thing for a couple of reasons. One, I think they would love to have it back in Ottawa. I think they would all like to come down and celebrate back down here, have a big powwow, big shindig, come in, take over the city, run it again. But they know some of them have a bit of like, you know what, maybe that wasn't such a cool idea. Some of them aren't, and a lot of them also that would probably be big on coming back. They can't. They've got some arrest warrants, they've got some conditions, whatnot. So they're not going to be coming back for at least a year, not until all their legal troubles are cleared up. So that's just not going to happen. But they still want to sort of do something so they can keep the momentum going. So they're more than likely they're going to try to do the whole every capital. We're going to have some sort of activity going on. They try to do the Winnipeg thing.
I understand the Winnipeg thing. It's in the center of Canada. That makes total sense in a certain way. Like
in a geographical kind of way. Yeah. If you ignore the fact that the entire population of Canada is not evenly distributed, so having it in the center of the physical Canada doesn't make sense.
100%.
Yeah.
Ontario has the highest. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's Ontario or Quebec has the highest population. I feel like it's
Ontario. It's Ontario. You're absolutely right. So, but I mean, just geographically, like pretty much the entire border to the U.S. is where the majority of the population of Canada is, within like, you know, less than 1,000 kilometers from the border. So it's kind of a weird thing. And I guess they wanted to try to do something different and to get the things involved. I get it. Is it going to work? I don't know. I think it's the same as we said before. The energy and that magic spark that was there that caused the convoy originally is gone. There's a lot of people I'm sure that would like to bring it back. But again, I think a lot of people have also been like, yeah, I was also promised money when I came down the last time and I lost all my money in that particular case. So it's just
not only that, like these are people who had already lost their livelihoods because they didn't get vaccinated. So life was already difficult. And after I guess the vaccines came out in 2021. So it's been 2 years, you know, they felt they needed to come out in February because of everything, like you know, and whether we agree with their reasoning or not, there was a desperation, there was an anger, there was all of these things. And then like it's different now, right? And so the mandates are gone. And I think it's split because you have the people who want to reignite that spark They met a lot. They've made connections. They made a lot of friends. They felt something that they hadn't been able to feel in a long time, which was hope. And so you've got two camps, the way that I see it. And one of the camps is like, don't ruin what we had, because the more you stretch this out, you're ruining, what we had. And then the other people are like, I didn't get enough of what we had. I want more of what we had because I felt good. And I felt like I could make a change. Like there was a movement for change. But they're not entirely, like they say, let's get together and find solutions, but solutions to what exactly? Because there are so many problems. And if you can't sort it out within your own community, you're not going to bring the entire country together to solve these very complex problems that are happening in every community. So you need to.
They also have to pick a goddamn problem.
Well, I mean, there are many problems. I feel like we can tackle a bunch of problems if we can all agree what the problems are. And I think that's where we're at right now, is that people are getting focused on things that are really not huge problems. And they're just complaining about the big problems, but attacking the ones that they think that they can solve or that they hate the most. That has very little impact on their lives. This is what I feel like is happening right now. And it's sort of that, it's almost like a plan. And they're the ones who talk about these plans and how it's divide and conquer, but they're the ones, to me, that are falling into that, because they're, going to these stupid fucking drag shows and fighting drag shows. Like, if you want to make things better for children, if that's what your thing is, well, how about making sure that they're fed? How about making sure they have a roof over their head? How about making sure that the education that they're getting is quality education and teachers aren't getting beat up in class or having knives pulled on them? This is happening in Ottawa, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That, young children are coming to school with knives and threatening other children. And if you want the children to be okay, let's deal with their basic needs. Let's do that first. And we're not.
No, absolutely. I mean, kind of brings us to the next one, which is, examples of things you could do locally that would actually make a difference.
Yeah.
So this past week or two, we've had a bit of more action activity going on with the Ottawa Police Services Board.
Yes.
So I got wind of this through Horizons Ottawa. It's a pretty good Twitter feed to see what some of the progressive actions going around in the city. So they've been doing a couple of things, and this particularly in regards to the article that I wanted to bring up is that there's a couple of things that they've done recently that has an overall general theme, and that is that they're trying to decrease public participation in the Ottawa Police Services Board. And it's like I said, it's not specific action; it's a collection of all these particular actions. So, Sam. So the Ottawa Police Services Board, they delay the selection to the new chair. That caused a bit of an issue, and when they finally did, it was behind from my understanding, it was behind closed doors. Whoops. Next thing that they did was, and this was an issue they were having, which was they already were trying to remove the virtual meetings and have everything in person. And by doing that, that's one of the problems they had with the last November's meeting, is that everybody showed up in person and suddenly you had to deal with people there. Well, one of the other things that they're now trying to do is also trying to cut down the amount of guests and people that can speak. Well, I'm sorry, this is a public service, and the public needs to be able to speak about these things that they want to brought up.
100%.
Yeah. There are a lot of.
They don't want to do their job. They don't want their job to be difficult, as far as they're saying no virtual. So you have to come in person. Oh no, well, we're not going to do either now because there's just too much happening. Well, this is important to us. Like this, we got fucked in January and February, and forget about January and February. We've been getting fucked for a long time. And the police members also haven't been happy with their situation either. Like, I think in 2018 is when I volunteered on their service initiative rollout thing. And the morale was the lowest it had ever been. So a lot of people are being failed here in Ottawa, and we should be able to engage, or at least the stakeholders in the city should be able to engage to make sure that the services that we expect are going to represent what our needs are. And if you're going to try to silence people from being able to share what the needs are here, you know,
absolutely,
all wrong. It
is absolutely correct. It is a terrible thing, because if you, it's a public service that's, it's for the public. The public pays for it through our taxes, especially since you're raising our taxes. Like, I'm going to still have a say in there. Yeah. And so it's accountable to said public, and to take the police services and try to limit access to it, not only to the general public, but also from making it difficult for the special interest groups. Like, I don't expect myself to be able to go to all the public service meetings, but there are special interest groups that do represent points of views that, I'm sure Dean and I both share, that we'd like to see there. Horizons Ottawa is just to name one of the many. We should not have their access limited there to be able to speak messages that, their supporters are saying. Mm-hmm. Are all these groups going to be messages that we agree with? No. But should they be able to go in and speak there? Absolutely. Should the general public be able to speak? Absolutely. If you pay tax money, whether it be through property taxes or even through rent, where by extension you are still paying through your rent a property tax.
Yes, you are.
You're a citizen of the city. You should have a say.
Yeah.
That's it. But that's not our only service in the city that we're having issues with, Deana. I am not done.
Our city is falling apart.
Well, I don't know if it's falling apart, but
it's broken.
It's maybe off the rails.
It's broken.
I don't know.
It's broken.
No, it's off the rails.
Sorry, I'm doing a Pierre Poilievre.
True.
It's broken.
There.
Our train set is broken.
Our train set is broken. So, I mean, this thing is broken again.
This is just fucking scrap the whole goddamn thing. I don't even want to spend another goddamn penny on this.
Hang on.
Who thought of this?
Let me go through the text, so then we go through the discussion. So, obviously, as many of you guys found out last week, train shut down. Icing on the line built up. The short of it, from what most people know now, because it's been about a week, and it took about a week. I think it was today it was supposed to be fired back up. I haven't checked up on that. But the ice built up, snapped the line, and went through. And we'll get to that a little bit more. But it snapped the line. It caused them a lot. They tried to bring another train through that was designed to remove the ice. And that got broken by the ice, because of course it would. So one of the things the city is going to try to do to address some of these issues is that, they're trying to get the repair people out there as quickly as possible, trying to address this and whatnot. But one of the other things, and this is one of the things I wanted to highlight as soon as this stuff was coming out, I was like, no, we're going to talk about this next, was that their view is that there's a lot of repair stuff done, so they need to make a committee for more oversight in regards to the repairs. To which, when I saw this, I'm like, yes, that's the problem. Everything else that came out from the public inquiry in regards to the LRT pointing out that everything was a failure, from the acquisition to the bidding process to everything involved.
It's all tainted.
But that's all fine. But it's the repairs we need to monitor tightly, because that's where the problem is. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is the problem. The train did not survive a winter because when we purchased it. Were these engineers
from California? Like, I remember once I bought on on the advice of an idiotic mechanic, I bought a neon Malibu. And you know what that fucking
From
car
Malibu?
used to do? Well, it was made for Malibu because the windshield wipers were underneath the hood. So the snow and ice would build up in there. And then I would turn on my car and you turn on the windshield wipers and you burn the motor. And I don't know how, sometimes I'd forget to turn off the windshield wiper all the way. And then I'd turn on my car and it'd automatically try, and I'd be like, no. And then there goes the motor. So I was like, never again am I buying a car that has, were these engineers the same fucking engineers that made the freaking Malibu? Like, what the hell?
Okay, so you may not recall this, but during the bidding process, and this is, I remember this specifically when during the acquisition, I think it was my wife that actually mentioned this to me, or somebody else, that the train in question, when they made the purchases, I believe they weren't, there was explicit note that said they weren't tested with temperatures below 6 degrees centigrade.
What the frick, man? Like 6 degrees is a spring day and on a winter day. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't even understand.
So it's like, no, you should be only like, that should be that should have been shortlisted right off the list right away. Like, no, we need something reliable for winter. This is Canada, not San Francisco or any other place where the climate is more temperate than cold.
The people in the decision-making power were not stupid fucking people, but clearly they're stupid people. Like, I don't understand. None of this. This is why I don't even, there's nothing to do with this train anymore. Sell it for parts, scrap the metal, make the $50 you're going to make off of it, and forget it. Just forget it. It's not, we are not in the business of reinventing the wheel or redoing the wheel when it's already on. Like, I don't see a path forward. I don't see a path forward. Just give this shit up, put the buses back on the road, and come up with a new plan. Like, it's done. We're done now. We're finished. You fucked up. You ruined our city. We had rats galore because in the same year as they were digging up all of Ottawa, they stopped treating the sewers.
Yeah.
And COVID ends up happening. And now we are a city of rats. I don't know if you guys know this, but I do, because I'm a property manager. And our city is overrun with rats. Like, I talked to the pest control guy because someone saw a rat outside. The Tim Hortons up on Heron and whatever is like been in the newspaper because of the massive rat problem that is in that area. And this is all because of stupid city planning.
So this is a particular good point I want to bring up, because it's true. Like, rail is one of the most mature modes of transportation. You're absolutely right, Brian. It is good. It is solid. And to that effect, I actually want to even bring back a point of my wife says is like, why did we try to invent this particular solution in regards to the train? Again, it's a very mature thing. It's, as many people said, Edmonton has it, Calgary has it.
Montreal
in Canada alone
has it. Toronto
Montreal
has it.
Well, no, Montreal has the metro. They do have an LRT coming in soon, though, but they don't have an LRT. Toronto has an LRT, GO train. But definitely the point is, in Canada, we got many templates there. Around the world, we have many more. There are 101 different solutions. Why did we go at this alone? And so, I think I just want to make sure we understand here. We're not shitting the idea of an LRT. No.
I'm an environmental activist. 100%. We need to do that.
There is no question about, should we have an LRT or public transit? No, we should definitely have that. There is no question on that whatsoever. But there is absolutely no question whatsoever that we should definitely criticize this implementation, because, as the inquiry said, there were many issues in regards to that. I mean, wow. Like, this was just terrible.
My sister worked for a short time for the city and helped out with Tunney's pasture, that design there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I believe in the light rail system. I don't believe in ours, and I don't believe it can be fixed. And I don't believe our tax money should be poured into fixing something that will never be fixed. I think we should start over again or something like this, but this is dumb. And the people that are getting hurt by this are mainly low income people who are relying on the transit system to get to work, who cannot afford parking, who can to pay for parking, who cannot afford to pay insurance, who cannot afford to pay car payments. Like, they buy bus passes, they go to and from work.
There's two different goals here. I mean, you're absolutely right. The people who can't afford their own way of moving around or can't work from home, like some of us are lucky enough that we just work from home all the time. Mm-hmm. Some of us have, or at least a vehicle to get us around because that's what we have, or whatnot. But there's a majority of the public, and even still people with vehicles, if they're going downtown, they may not afford the parking, whatnot. It's just not feasible. Yeah. So public transit is very important, but it's also, since we've now just torn out the bus system to force people to use this train system that's not reliable,
right? And
we did have a reliable bus system. Like, of the many things we commented on in regards to the bus system before the train was in place, there wasn't really much of an issue with the bus system. A lot of people, I talked to a lot of people, and they were, they loved the bus. It was quick. It was efficient. There wasn't a problem. They were able to get the routes. They were able to do stuff. Not a problem. But this did, as lofty as the goal was, it's just so poorly executed.
What if we build a dome around the whole thing and just it'll be like a tunnel or whatever?
I think, and this is, and so record me now. We'll clip this, or somebody can clip this if they want to, so they can hold it on my head. I don't think there's going to be much problems with the track, the rails, the lines, whatnot. I think the only thing to really fix this thing, and the only thing that's going to really get it done, is definitely replacing the trains. The trains were never designed. The trains are the things that keep failing. The trains are having problems. Possibly the electrical lines, because they may be paired with the trains. It's just one of those design things. I don't know the engineering behind that. And until those get replaced, after we acknowledge those were a terrible purchase, and that's probably going to be the root of most of the problems, we're going to keep having these problems, and we're going to keep having a reliability issue. So more than likely, I don't know how long we tend to keep trains when it comes to light rail. I'm thinking about 20 years max. That might be when we start seeing some improvements. Maybe. It all depends if in 20 years they purchase the same stupid shit.
Instead of continuing to repair these trains, to replace the trains. And I don't understand why it's not in the contract that
still under warranty.
They're deficient. They're not doing what they are intended to do. So that means they should be replaced.
Siemens are the ones that got that, but I'm pretty sure Siemens was smarter than the city, and they got the contract specifically saying you are ordering these types of trains. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with it from their perspective, because that's the trains the city ordered. We're stuck with them. It's a terrible choice, and the trains are wrong. They're wrong for the whole thing. But we can't blame Siemens because they're just fulfilling an order. You'd have to go after, I think, maybe RTG. So,
anyway,
because if we did have a train, we would have been able, instead of you picking me up to go to the courthouse this week, we could have taken the train.
Yeah, I think that I have a train stop close to my house. I can just walk to the train stop. I think it's great. It's just it's not working.
Agreed. But
that's it.
We would have gone to the courthouse. Now, why did we go to the courthouse this week?
Mm-hmm. We went to the courthouse to go find some evidence, apparently, that William Comer said that he submitted. Who wants to guess that the evidence is shit? Who wants to? Put up your hands. Oh, Lord. It's funny. The evidence is stuff we've already seen before. Nothing new. There's no bam, I gotcha.
Is 101% correct in regards to that. There was literally nothing in this particular evidence package. So trying to find the information here. So what we finally went down there. I actually went to the civil section, and Deana was with me, and she went to the criminal section because we were both looking for information from different player areas to try to find out what's going on. So from the civil section, I'll actually bring up the see if I can bring up this document here. So we do have this original document, and I'll bring that straight for you guys here. And this is the notice of appeal. So they're pretty much notifying, and this is I got the original one, and this is what we sent, that was sent out. That listed I think it was like 50 points that they had in regards to the whole appeal process. 50 plus. This was served over to them, to the judge, as well as to Gordon Douglas, who was kind enough to actually forward me a copy, which was fantastic. But then we also went down to the courthouse to see if there was any additional information. Now, the additional things that were attached there was the original judgment that came out from Comrie.
So we all saw that already.
We've all seen that. For those who are interested, let me know. I can make this package available to you guys, as well as a certificate for respecting the evidence, and then an additional notice of the appeal. So, sorry. This additional one, which was the email submitted to the courthouse saying that they were working on the appeal. So this was originally sent already back on October 24th. So that said, it was so they submitted October 24th, which is, oh shit. They had 30 days to mark the appeal.
Yes, they did. That goes over the 30 days.
Yeah, you just noticed that too, right?
No. I said that I had mentioned that to you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I said that.
Was I not listening again? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But I'm like, they didn't even submit it on time. So I don't even know if this can go through or not.
That's an excellent point.
Sometimes, I mean, sometimes, I don't know. They don't know how to follow deadlines, but there might be something that allows them to follow through with this, but maybe there's a couple of things I do know. And so this may still fall into play. And this is based on a couple of legal things I remember from the past I've dealt with. Some from what I've dealt with and some others from information I don't. So in regards to contract law, I remember I had to terminate a contract with an ISP from when at an old workplace. They were giving us a lot of problems. Their service was just not working at all. I said, all right, cool. And it just wasn't working after a while. And I just said, okay, fine. You listen, you guys, you know what? You now have 30 days to get your service fixed, or we're disconnecting service altogether. That's it. That's all done. And we're not gonna, so they didn't fix the service because I think they knew they couldn't fix the service. So they waited the whole 30 days. But the 30 days ended on the weekend. Now, the old workplace I actually had, which was what made it very easy for me to determine a lot of this stuff, is that we actually had a lawyer in the place. So I was like, listen, I need some contract law help for the company. So you're mine. Can I say, what do I need to do to make sure if I can get this contract? He told me, like, send him an email, send this, go to this section of the contract, and that's it. So we did that. And at the end of the 30 days, which was on the weekend, I said, so it's going to be ending the 30 days. He's like, yeah, but in contract law, it's always, if it ends on the weekend, you can't act on it until the first business day. And so that would be my first thing I'd think of, like, the 23rd would be the 30th day would have been on a Sunday. So the first business day would have been the Monday.
And so that's where he might have gone with that. And hopefully he gets that, because even if you pass the 30 days, from my understanding, and from the documentation I've read, from our perspective, you can still appeal if it's past the 30 days. It's just much more difficult, because now you also have to do an additional step of going, I think, to either in front of a judge or a justice of peace and say why.
Yeah, he'll have an excuse. Like, I know Saren is at the bottom there, but maybe he'll always have an excuse. Maybe because Saren had to get her license renewed because she was losing it, or she had lost it temporarily, or whatever happened with her. I can't remember what the story is, but
there's a big question mark in regards to Saren's legality of practicing law right now.
Yeah, and I don't know if she's resolved that or not. And maybe that's what the delay was, is she needed to resolve that or something. I mean, I'm going to be there. Yeah. I'm going to listen. I'm also going to the courthouse on January 24th and 25th to listen to probably a pretty boring day of Paul Champ and the case with Zeshi Lee being the lead for the class action suit. And they're going to be adding amendments to the application. So it's scheduled for the 24th and the 25th. I'm booking those days off at work, and I'll be sitting in the courtroom listening to that as well.
That'll be good. It'll be interesting to listen to.
It'll be interesting, but it's, I don't know, probably pretty boring for a lot of people. But
you gotta live tweet it.
Yeah, I'll try. I tried to live tweet the Comer thing, the Tupac thing. And I got as far, because it was like the entire day. And also Camilla was there watching as well. But, I got probably to lunchtime. And then I was like, you know what? There's a couple of other lawyers here. Glenn McGregor was there, and he was live tweeting. And so was another lawyer. So I just, whatever.
I'm pretty sure McGregor is going to be there too. But I feel this court case is probably going to be popular enough for it to be live tweeted.
I'll do my best, but I'm not. Yeah. I'm not great at that.
If McGregor and others are still there, bring your battery pack for sure. But more importantly, one of the things I tried to do, like for during POEC, was there was a live stream that was going on. So live streaming or live tweeting what was going on at the POEC. I gave some information, but it wasn't that much. Plus, I also didn't have my battery pack.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I'm usually better prepared. But I also kind of focus on, since there was a lot of, convites that were in the room, I just kind of focus more on, okay, this is what the convites are saying. This is what the convites are doing. And this is what's going on in the room that you guys can't see or hear clearly, to give sort of perspective, in regards to that. So try to get the feeling of the room as opposed to what's being tweeted in regards to what the activities in the court. But yeah, so we will definitely be keeping up in regards to anything else going on there. There is, as for regards to the appeal, there's apparently plans to have a celebration at St. Bridget's by Tupac when they reclaim. I think they're going to have to damper their plans, because I think they were talking about doing it in April, because they don't have a date yet for the appeal, and appeal processes take longer than a month or two.
I want to clear something up too that we found out when we were at the courthouse. Somebody just DM'd me and asked me if Comer paid the $53,000 to do the appeal. Whoever reported that misreported that. So we were all under false impression that he needed to pay that $5,300 or $53,000. He was not required. He only needed to pay the $290 application fee to do the appeal. So no, he has not paid the $53,000, and that was not a requirement. And I'm not sure why that was
correct. Yeah, that's true. It's an excellent point. Thanks for reminding me. I totally forgot about that.
That's me true. Too. Yeah. That was Mike, by the way. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, thank you, Mike. You're absolutely correct. Yeah. The other information we tried to find out is any information about private prosecutions. and we did not get much information in regards to private prosecutions.
Oh, right. That's right. So when I went there are private, what I can tell you probably is I had asked if there were
Here
private
comes the code, people.
prosecutions. Yeah. And so they're not allowed to tell me about the private prosecutions that are that have been started against anybody. So what that informed me was that yes, he is starting private prosecutions or has started private prosecutions, but we can't know about it until at which point the criminal desk said at which once the judge has decided that the private prosecution can move forward and there's an actual statement of claim or whatever it is that comes with a private prosecution, whatever that application is called, that's when we can know about it.
Yeah.
So
at
this point, no charges have been laid, I guess, or whatever.
It's kind of pending or in the works, so to speak.
It is a waste of the court's time. I agree.
It is, and it's there was a wonderful chart I saw somewhere in regards to private prosecution, which kind of I think Resistance Cats posted one time in regards to all the steps that you need to do before you get the private prosecution. And when it comes to private prosecution, it's no different than being charged criminally. It's just there's a whole whack of steps before you get to that part where you get charged criminally. Because in the end, you do get charged criminally, and the sentencing and everything else is the same as any other normal charge. It's just you need to get down to that point. So there is at any point during that entire process, if one of those things kills it, that's it. It's done. From what I saw on that chart, there is no appeal process to it's like, oh no, I really want to charge this person. Nope, not happening. Move on. You're done. Like that's it. That's it. There's no more.
And he reincorporated another corporation and whatever. And he's still, you know what? It's not even just about the fact that he's wasting the court's time and he's trying to waste Patrick's money and like the rest of the owners. All of these things we know. But the funny thing to me is that he had his little visit in Ottawa, right? And in Toronto. And you have people like Eric Stoddard or whatever his last name is, who is genuinely thinking that they're on to bigger and better things. Like he posted that, I think, on one of my Facebook comments or whatever, that, you know, they're about to do big things. How about starting with the little things? You guys can't even fucking accomplish the little things. You're going to do nothing other than waste people's time. Like you're either you're stupid and you're following this grifter, or you're a fucking asshole because you're part of the grift. Those are the only choices. That's it.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's a weird. What is this? It's. I shouldn't be surprised, and the reason why I shouldn't be surprised, people will still be committed to something that's to you and I, and to I think a lot of people watching here. It was done pretty much after the end, after the eviction. Mm-hmm. Like that's it. It's done. The party is over. Go home.
Finished. Like you should have learned. Then they sat in the courtroom and heard the same shit we heard, but for some reason they still couldn't see it. Like
they had a different interpretation of what they heard.
Yeah. He paid it. He paid it. The judge is wrong. Like what? What world do you live in? What universe are you in? I don't understand. Is that Camilla's bracelet that she made you on the microphone? Yes, I love that.
I think it makes a wonderful decoration.
I think it's awesome. That's a great idea.
It is. It's absolutely beautiful. I thought it's fantastic. I thought it adds a nice little colorful flair to it. I love it.
I love it.
I love it. And if you guys don't like it, too bad.
It's amazing. That's good.
Make sure Camilla knows.
I'm going to show her the stream. Yeah, I'll show her this stream, and yeah,
she can enjoy see her artwork. Is what adds color and character.
She was busy making bracelets today for some people that some of the people that we know. So that's great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
She does enjoy making her bracelets, and she's very good at them.
Yeah,
she's very good at them. So, thank you for liking the stream. Oh, that'd be liking on Facebook. So, another thing that we brought up here, or we're bringing up here, is something that I believe you wanted to bring up, which is this right here. I'll let you speak here.
So this is the statement that came out from the clan mothers, which totally, like when I said it took my breath away, I meant it. I was just like, I was expecting something different because you had Serena Bear and the other people who keep referring to the clan mothers who are coming to light the 8th fire. But there has been so much pushback from the rest of the First Nations communities, saying various things like they haven't even lit the 7th fire. You cannot, like, it's not something that you can do. And if you had consulted the elders, you wouldn't have been given permission to speak this way, because you need to be given permission to speak on behalf of the community. And so now we have, them basically calling out the Freedom Convoy. And they specifically speak to the families and survivors of the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit kin. And they reference the recent murders of the 4 women and the 2 who are still missing in the landfill. I think what strikes me, and the appropriation. So they just want them to immediately cease and desist from appropriating, anything to do with Indigenous culture, community, and all of those things, and stop trying to bring them in. And they're concerned for their safety, because they know that some of the people that are coming, that are part of the convoy, are people who are a danger to their community.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, I mean, it's interesting now. And then there's the clan mothers that Serena Bear is speaking about, and Big Bear just spoke to in his video, but they don't want to come forward. They don't want to step forward to say who they are. So it's quite interesting that even this has sort of, there's a fissure within those communities, I should say, and how their normal sort of protocol is just being completely disrupted by certain people. And I don't know. I think I'm happy that they put out a statement. And it's from that territory, I believe, where I should have looked it up. I don't know where Camp Hope is. This is where they plan on going. So I'm not 100% sure if it's on their territory or not. I imagine it is. I don't know if that territory covers a huge part of Winnipeg. I'm ignorant to all of that. But anyways, it's the whole feeling of the statement for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it's my first thing when I was looking at this, I'm like, okay, the group that's speaking out on in regards to convoy and whatnot, which I've already haven't heard before. Now, when I think of the clan mothers, whatnot, I think about that group of clan mothers that you met at Tupac.
Yeah, me too. So I wonder if it's them.
That's my question exactly.
Yeah, like I feel like
it's the same ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I don't think it's the same ones.
Because they were from Alberta. They weren't from Manitoba.
Yeah.
So it could be. I mean, whatever. I mean, maybe we're just being dumb because we only met 3 of them and we're just being typical dumbass white people, just associating all You know what I
Well,
mean? Like, I don't know. I have
I
no
don't
idea.
know if we're being dumbass white people as much as just like we didn't get their business cards to find out or at least, in the sense of like we didn't know which group or organization they were representing specifically. At
And
least
then we
not
do
that
know
I can
they're
recall.
convoyers, and we do know that they're sovereign citizens, right?
Yeah, they're soft civ. They're definitely. I mean, what was it? His name? The
Dennis.
driver for them was Dennis. There
Yeah.
gets arrested after sea lying you for at Tupac. He gets arrested for not being allowed.
Not for
at
sea lining
Parliament.
me, by the way. He just got
Well, not for
arrested
sea
because
lining.
he
No, no.
wasn't supposed to be in Ontario.
I'm okay with turning sea lining into a crime, but that's just me. And for some reason, people don't quite agree with that sentiment.
He didn't affect me.
No. But this brings me up to our next particular thing. But coincidentally, we goes from the clan mothers over to Mr. Colin Big Bear Ross, who also made a statement this week. So let me bring up the clip and
we're just going to show a couple. Like, there's a bunch of it's an hour and 37-minute video.
We cut that shit down.
Yeah, like there's just a couple of things that we wanted to talk about. There's a whole lot of things that can be spoken to, but these are just the ones that I feel like highlighting.
Yeah. So let me see if I can. Here we go.
There's been some texts and some threats made right online about the Zoom meetings and exposing. And your name was in there and some other names
wrong one.
Exposing you guys. But Camp Hope, there's 200 acres there, guys, and that's where we're gonna go. Private land, so Winnipeg people don't have to worry about us jamming up their town and
we're not going there. Yeah, no. And we're not. And I gotta make. Yeah, totally. And I gotta make one thing clear: we're not going there to co-op any other movements. We're not going there to appropriate anything to do with Indigenous anything. We are going there as our own sovereign beings with our own hearts on our own healing journeys, and that's it. And we're going there to reconnect, regroup, and do our own healing the way we're gonna do it with the clan mothers are putting on a beautiful ceremony, and it's gonna be beautiful. And the time we're done in Winnipeg, no one will even know we were there. We'll go in, we'll do everything we need to do. We'll have our nice, beautiful weekend, and then we will leave with no trace.
And Winnipeg City is going to make a bunch of money off this too, with all the people in the hotels buying food and stuff, and everybody going and taking part in the ceremonies. And like, where do you think all the food's going to come from all these people? It's going to come from the grocery stores in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And the hotels are going to be full and stuff. Like, it's not going to be a bad thing, right? We're not jamming up the city.
Yeah.
And when they told me where it was going to be, I was really happy about that, because I was, worried about the same kind of outcome as Ottawa, right? And like, they're just going to come in eventually. We were never planned on staying for 2 or 3 weeks neither, though, right? So,
yeah. No, we're not trying to be a thorn in any way, shape, or form. This is going to be an amazing journey for a lot of people, and we can't wait to see everyone. We have so many people coming coast to coast. There's going to be so many volunteers.
Yeah. Oh, nice. The Camp Hope. That Camp Hope is 200 acres, is just east of Winnipeg and Dugald. Okay.
So it's not in Winnipeg? These guys are just going to go camping on some farm outside of Winnipeg?
Well, they're not protesting.
That's awesome.
So I mean, but so what I really wanted to, I hope you guys heard, so it was 2 parts of that video, and it was stated a couple of times that we're not coming to jam up your city. And we're not going to leave a trace. Big Bear says, we're not going to leave a trace. You won't even know we were there. And so for me, that speaks to them recognizing what they did in the original convoy and how they did jam up cities and how they did negatively impact the residents of any of those cities, whether it be Coutts, Alberta, or Ottawa, or Windsor. So for me, I'm starting to see that they knew it was there the whole time. There wasn't an acknowledgement because they didn't want to tarnish the image that was trying to be portrayed. But I think that they realize now a couple of things. One, that we all heard about it. We all know about it from POEC, but also from people say the media, and also from people's personal accounts. And so they want to do this thing, but they don't want the negative parts of it. And we can take that as good or bad. I want to take it as something that's good, that they're recognizing that this is not how to do a proper protest, and that they'll lose their message the minute that they negatively impact the people who are around them. Because, you know, I disagreed wholeheartedly, especially during that panic of the pandemic, where we really, really needed everybody to do what was best for the community. And so tensions were high, emotions were high. And there was definitely a lot of anger on both sides. And now that we can sort of step away from it, we can appreciate where each other, at least I can, appreciate where each other is coming from. So I feel like there's movement on both sides. And while these guys are a bunch of dolts in my mind, like they're just not, you know, that the other conversation that they were having about Indigenous or whatever. And Big Bear is he Indigenous? I think he's First Nation or Métis or something.
So he claims he is half Indigenous.
Well then, okay, so
I don't think he's officially Métis.
I can't believe how much, like I can't believe how much he puts up with in the language that comes out of the people who are around him. Like, it's so damn offensive, and microaggressions, macroaggressions, and he's just like sort of taking it with a grain of salt. And so,
more than taking a grain of salt, I mean, there was because I did watch his entire video, and it's a long video, and because I was trying to see if I can do other cuts myself in regards to it. Unfortunately, next video took more of my time than that, so I didn't get a chance to do it. But he's also into that language too. So I mean, like, you know, there's intolerant to the language, but it's also another thing when you're also adding to the language. I mean, he's also talking like, oh, you know, he kind of avoided talking about it, but I mean, there's a video right now going around from what's his name, Elliot McIsaac, I think, from out west there. He's the one that yelled at Chrystia Freeland.
Oh, Moose, whatever his dumbass name, Elliot Moose, or whatever. Fuck,
exactly.
God, that guy's an idiot.
But he was like, you know, you should reclaim the name Indian, because Indigenous means you're just born of the land, and that's everybody. That's, you know, it's that stupid argument that I've heard, like, oh, everybody's Indigenous because they're all born of this land. That started with
that is not even what Indigenous means. It means you are
correct.
Original to the land.
Yeah,
original. Exactly. You fucking reject.
Yeah. And it's yeah, I remember listening to Pat King was talking about that. He was saying the same thing. I'm like,
they're stupid.
Totally wrong. Yeah.
Go to fucking school. And if you went to school, then put more money into that school so that you can learn real shit. Indigenous doesn't mean you were born on the land. Okay? So for anybody who needs it cleared up, you need to be original to the land. And your white ass is not. Okay?
As someone just told me nearby, a tiger born in Toronto Zoo is not Indigenous to Canada.
I told you his wife is funny and smart.
She's a sharp one. Smarter than me. Exactly.
Oh, Lord. God help these people. And
Indeed.
take the phones away from them and don't let them speak. Actually, it's funny to watch them speak on camera because now we know exactly what the heck is going on. Like, it's just...
Well, I mean, it's entertaining because, I mean, these guys don't even get along with each other. Oops.
No, they don't. They don't.
So,
you gonna play the next clip?
I'm going to play the next clip here.
Okay.
Because this here kind of shows us, and this is kind of the trend, like, you know, there is a lot of tearing apart at each other. It says you're about to see here. These guys, though, aren't really as tearing apart as each other. Let's roll the clip and then speak after.
There's been some texts and some threats made right online about the Zoom meetings and exposing. And your name was in there and some other names exposing you guys. What is going on there? That's my question, because I really want to know.
There's nothing to hide with us and James Bowder. James Bowder was the one who started making the calls to bring this together. You know, and I really like the guy, you know. The only thing I didn't connect with his MOU in Ottawa. It looked like it wanted to overthrow the government. That's the one thing. We didn't want to go under the same banner as Canada Unity. A lot of us. That's the only reason. That's why everything got messed up with Ron. He was just trying to make it clear that we weren't going under that banner so we don't get fried. That was it. You know, I like James. He's a good man. You know, but we decided to keep going forward and he decided to stop. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Except for the little detail of, yeah, you know, we don't agree with that, but we still showed up and we still let him be a part of the organization, et cetera, et cetera. You guys were fine with all the stuff you guys didn't agree with at the time. Mm-hmm. You guys were fine with sharing a space, the known racist like Pat King.
Right.
You were fine sharing the space, even though you said you weren't happy with it, but you were fine still sharing the space with the guys with the MOU. You were fine
all in the name of unity.
All in the name of the unity.
Right.
You were fine with sharing the space with a lot of really questionable groups. But now that this is all kind of falling apart, now you're like, oh no. We're not part of that. But you were standing beside these people. You guys were locked arm in arm. You guys were sitting at the same table during the leadership meetings. Like, you cannot ignore your presence in there. You can't say like you're not with these people after having been with these people the entire time. And do not try to say you didn't know these people were about that. Everybody knew what these people were. Every single one of them. And how would you not want to get to know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and so I'm putting up Mike's because this is the reason why I wanted to speak about this. Is James Bowder's MOU was part of the entire convoy plan from day one.
Yep.
And that's exactly my point is I speak to convoy people or convoy supporters a lot, and they say that for them it had nothing to do with the MOU, but you can't escape the fact that the MOU was what was put in front of the government right from the get-go. And those were the organizers. Those were the people who raised the money. Those were the people who took the money. And so I want to correct, for if anybody happened to be on Gucci's space the other night, I said something up to the effect of Tamara disappeared for 10 days once the 10 million was put in her pocket. That was incorrect. They raised the $10 million. They released $1 million. And when the $1 million was released, she disappeared. And the other point, so these are the people, though, that were responsible for the money, fundraising, the website, the MOU, the discussions that they were trying to have with the government, the ones who held the press conferences on behalf of the convoy. The MOU was part of it the entire time. And that was one of the things that they said, we are not leaving until our demands are met. And for 3 weeks, you heard Big Bear or whoever it was say in the first video, we weren't planning on staying for 2 or 3 weeks. No, you were directed to, and you agreed to stay because your demands weren't met. And one of those demands was the MOU that had a list of demands.
On top of that, too, like that 10 million, sorry, 7 million, 10 million.
It was 10 million, and then they raised 8.2 USD million for Give Send Go. I verified those facts yesterday.
Perfect. I will not question you on those numbers. So what she said, in regards to numbers, that money was very much supposed to go to the convoy in regards to paying for them to be there, taking care of food, taking care of fuel, everything.
Yep. A hotel. Guess whose hotel was paid? Guess whose hotel was paid? Tamara did a fucking live from her hotel talking about how beautiful it was in Ottawa, and she was sitting in her hotel. Guess who all got paid the whole time?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they did quite well in their nice little hookups. Yeah, no, absolutely. The leadership definitely was comfortable in their setups. Although I think a few of them, I think Barber did sleep in his truck quite a few times. But I think that's the only one I remember hearing of. But yeah, you're right. They were quite comfortable in there. Definitely, you know, Sedition Barbie, she was quite comfortable.
Seditious Barbie. That's a good one.
But yeah, no, it was definitely, I mean, these guys they knew what they were doing. So these, this is just another sign, just to show.
But now they're recognizing that the MOU was not a cool thing. So they're trying to distance themselves. And so they didn't want to call it Canada Unity. And here's where you have the alpha male, too many alpha males in one room, because James Bowder clearly sounds to me like they kept trying to call it World Unity or Unity. Well, yeah, World Unity. And James Bowder really wanted to keep the Canada Unity in there. And they're like, no, we're not. We don't want to be associated with Canada Unity. And James Bowder said, I'm going to take my ball and go home because I am the convoy. Like this guy has such illusions of grandeur in his, is.
There is megalomania in this particular guy.
100%. This guy, whatever, just.
He absolutely has a very specific megalomania. There's no denying it. Speaking of megalomania,
we have a big megalomaniac.
We do. I don't know if you guys heard about what was it today? Yeah, it was today.
It was today. I can't believe what happened today. I'm so shocked, actually.
So, if you were unaware of the activities of today, this was the main story of the day.
So here we are at the protest outside of the College of Psychologists Ontario. This is their office. You can see that there's a large police presence, and
how blessed I was to grow up that way. That's the principles that guided our lives. I was blessed enough to marry a man that follows that same principles and builds the same principles into our children every single day. And we've got a martial arts studio that we've been doing the same thing in our community. So 100% I can say.
Ooh. That's not right. That should be a lot longer. Let me see here.
Oh my goodness.
Nope, something not right.
Shantazia just sent me. Shantazia, sorry, 71. Just sent me an article from Glenn McGregor of who drove the pickup with the Confederate flag at the Freedom Convoy. And if you remember, Joe, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. This guy was the one that was dressed up like Beetlejuice at the POEC. Do you remember that? He had the Were you there that day? Yeah, he had the black and white striped suit, pants,
I feel I
blazer.
saw somebody.
He sat right beside us, but on the other side, one row back, like right at the aisle with his son, who is black.
Mhm.
Do you remember? No.
But I think so.
And he had the
but I also-
Confederate flag hat on. He wore his cap, and there was a
yes,
Confederate flag on there.
Yes.
See, everybody else noticed the Confederate flag on his hat, and all I could see was his Beetlejuice. Like, he just looked exactly like Beetlejuice.
Oh no, I remember the Beetlejuice for sure. I definitely remember the
article,
Beetlejuice because
this is who they have in there. So I wonder if that's the guy is admitting that he's the one who drove with the. Maurice Landriot told CTV National News that it was his Dodge Ram 2500 seen on Elgin Street and at the protest site at Confederation Square, but he denies the flag he mounted on the tailgate next to the Canadian flag was offensive. So he's agreeing that he put the Confederation flag up there, or the Confederate flag, sorry, on there, but he doesn't think it's an offensive flag. And he should know.
Most of these guys don't think anything they do.
Right.
Yeah, but most of these guys don't feel the stuff that they do is.
And he sat
with
the convoyers at the POEC and even did an interview with a independent, the guy that was behind us that lent us his Charger. Damn it, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but I will remember it.
We can't remember squad, period.
Yeah, but wowza.
True. So I'm trying to repair that video there for Mr. Peterson.
No worries. I figured you were, so I thought I'd throw that in there.
Good point. But so Mr. Peterson is now was in Toronto today in regards to his his license being checked out by the college. But from my understanding, and I think I heard correctly, it's been revoked.
Did you see what he posted on Twitter today? Forget all the other days. What a fucking asshole this guy is. He's such a piece of shit. God, I'm glad he's done. Bye-bye.
So you're definitely not a fan?
No, he can say whatever he wants. Nobody's taking away his freedom of speech. He still has his Twitter account. He can still shoot off the vile bullshit that comes out of his mouth. He just can't get the acclamation or whatever, use his accreditation as legitimate to legitimize his disgusting messages. Nobody's taking away his freedom of speech. He can speak all he wants.
True.
He can speak his way into his grave. He's a fucking piece of shit. I hate that guy. He's disgusting. I knew he was disgusting before, but I only started looking into him very recently, and I listened to that podcast with him and Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I mean,
seriously, do people take this guy seriously? Like, honestly, you guys take him.
They do. I mean, so when it comes to Jordan Peterson, he's been renowned to be challenging. Where
Joe,
everything about Jordan Peterson started.
Your internet,
yes.
Maybe. No, I can't hear you. There you go. Now I can hear you.
Yeah. May be a little bit of a challenge for me right now, battling with video editing. So I did not get that. Yeah. So I'll speak quick and I'll let it go back to you while this thing finishes off. I don't know how long Peterson's been like that. Do you recall when you were researching?
So what I know, so I remember last year when the Sports Illustrated, they had 4 different covers that they put out. So whatever your liking is, you can find one, but he needed to call out the fact that one of them was a plus size model and totally degraded her. And even his own fans was like, whoa, man, I like my women, you know, whatever. This is like, just shut up or whatever.
Meaty.
And I remember being one of the thousands of comments saying, you pasty white fuck, like as if you're even commenting, like this guy looked like he was death, like he was just whatever. But he ended up like crying about it and shutting down his Twitter account and being like, I'm getting off Twitter. And so then I started watching these reports on him, and I learned a little bit about him at that point. Like I'd heard of him before, and I heard about that there was protests whenever he was going to speak, and something to do with, you know, the incel, disenfranchised, you know, male members of our society who somehow he's been able to attract with his bullshit. That was the extent of what I knew. So it's been probably about maybe 3 or 4 years. I don't know if he's always been like that. I find that a lot of people have come out, their ugliness has come out very around the same time as the Trump era, maybe a little bit before, because that's where the misinformation and disinformation, you know, really was hitting our social media to be able to build a foundation for Trump to be able to be in the position that he was in. And then we just started seeing that toxic, you know, racism, toxic masculinity, toxic anything, just really coming out at around that time. So I don't know if that's when he became that way. I have no idea.
And you're absolutely right, because I mean, I'm not sure at what point he kind of broke off, because I mean, I remember the first time I heard about Jordan Peterson, it was about 10 years ago.
Was that the pronouns thing? No.
That's exactly.
That's when I heard about him first too. That was 10 years ago.
Just as I was looking down, that's exactly what it was. That is exactly when everything started. Was it 2016? I thought it was a little bit older.
So 2016 is when Trump was elected.
Yes.
But he could have been an asshole before. But
I feel he was an asshole and he was holding out before the Trump stuff. Now, I could be wrong. But that's exactly what it was. It was, I remember the event. I don't clearly remember the time, but I remember, and thank you, Ina. It was very much, he was, you know, he refused to say somebody's preferred pronouns.
Right.
Like, no, it's just, I'm not going to do that because it's too much of an issue for me to change my perception of you. I'm like, you're a douche. I'm sorry, but you're a douche. So this guy has been a douche and only about his sensitive feelings the entire time. And so now I got the video clip ready. I am going to share it and show it to you guys again. This time it should work better. Fingers.
So here we are at the protest outside of the College of Psychologists Ontario. This is their office. You can see that there's a large police presence, and
how blessed I was to grow up that way. That's the principles that guided our lives. I was blessed enough to marry a man that follows that same principles and builds the same principles into our children every single day. And we've got a martial arts studio that we've been doing the same thing in our community. So 100% I can say here that I'm standing in support of Jordan Peterson.
We got Max Bernier showed up in the house.
He's done roofing once on his
He's a roofer?
No.
He's a fellow roofer? Say hi to everybody.
Hello everybody, how are you?
And non-elected bureaucrats working at regulatory bodies Understand this, all above.
So, Pastor Henry Hildebrand, you came out here today to support Dr. Peterson. You've been through a lot yourself. Tell us why you're here.
Yes, I couldn't stay home knowing that we have another person here, and thank God we have those heroes in Canada that aren't afraid, that don't mind standing up, and Dr. Peterson is one of them.
Mr. Peterson, this message is for you. You are an inspiration for so many people around the world, and it is with great pleasure and an honor for me to be able to say today, heck yes, I stand in support with Jordan B. Peterson.
That's it. So, what I think was a little weird for this particular thing, when I was putting it together, and I was finding all the footage. Impromptu protest, yeah, cool, kind of expected. You'll get chuds to show up for pretty much anything, as long as you yell the word freedom, you're good to go. I was a little surprised when with some of the other people that started showing up. I'm like, all right, you got a couple of people going in there. Not overly surprised by some of them. So Maxime Bernier, every single chance of some sort of crazy chud thing, he will. That's has the numbers. He'll show up. Hilbrand, not so much. So not so much surprise. Same thing with Mr. Big there, the roofer.
Mr. Big.
Yeah.
Josh Bigger.
Yeah, Josh Bigger.
Freedom. Mr. Freedom.
Mr. Freedom, there we go.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of between him and what do I call it? Christine Anderson, which was or Kristen Anderson from the EU Parliament. She's doing a tour in Canada, and I think we talked about that briefly, and I know that was published in the Ottawa Discord, Ottawa Activism Discord, as she's a far-right politician in Europe doing a tour of Canada, which I thought was a little weird. And it also, her timing is going to be come around Ottawa around the anniversary of the convoy.
They're networking around the world to make it a bigger movement, sadly.
They are, absolutely. They have been doing that for a while. It's been one of those things that we've been noticing for quite a while in regards to, there's more activity.
UK, how is that working out for you, all this right wing? How is that working out for you guys, your Brexit and your bullshit? Like, how many prime ministers have you gone through in the last, 3 years? Like, and now who's running your country? One of you guys?
I don't think the issue, though, is the right wing part. I think it's not the right. Sorry, it's not the right wing, and this is where I'm trying to sort of bring back a little bit of reasonable. We've never had a problem with the right wing. It's the fact that it's gone to a far right.
That's it, 100%. Like, since Stephen Harper, we have been waiting for the right wing to put forward a leader who can represent actual Canada. And we haven't seen that yet. Harper was a disaster. He turned out to be a huge disaster. And then you went through Andrew
We knew that right
Scheer
from the get-go.
and Aaron O'Toole. And I'm sorry, but Maxime Bernier and Pierre Poilievre aren't any better.
No.
You're right. It's not the right wing. It is the far right nonsense that we're seeing.
It is, absolutely. I mean, we had Bernier and others there, and the representatives, but I mean, still not going over, going back towards in regards to Jordan Peterson, though, like, there was a fair amount there in regards to just like, there's still a fair amount of people there, and it was something that as you saw as the day progressed, the crowd sort of grew, and it's true. Toronto
Were
is a
there
large enough.
protesters there, or were
Sorry?
there protesters against?
There was no
against
counter
Jordan
protesters.
Peterson? Okay.
No, there was no counter protesters there. This was
They were all at work.
Yeah, most of them have jobs. Counter protesters. Sorry, the protesters for Jordan Peterson seem to have a lot of time.
Okay.
But yeah, there is. I don't. I'll be honest. If I have a choice to counter protest the Jordan Peterson thing at the college, I'm like, Back at the college is going to be doing the thing that they're going to be doing anyways. I don't think protesters in front of the college is going to change anything. This is still a profession that has rules and regulations that they need to follow. No matter how many protesters outside, at most, if the building is threatened or whatnot, they'll suspend their proceedings until it's addressed. But they're not going to shut down, and they weren't going to stop. I mean, they're going to do what they need to do. Person's job. I mean, like the amount of entitlement when there is to get protesters to show up because you failed to follow the standards of your job is just like, if I was a screw up for my job, I don't think I could get people to show up to counter protest saying it's an unfairness to my political beliefs. No, you're supposed to. You're a psychologist. You're supposed to stay neutral. It's just what you're supposed to do. It's ridiculous.
There was about 300 people there, according to an article from the Western Standard.
Jeez. Western Standard, though, I'm like, 300 people sounds like reasonable. You know what? During the progress of the day, I can kind of see that.
Yeah. I think they're tallying up everybody that's there, which is usually how the media reports protests. So
yeah, I haven't seen any articles in regards to the status of his license or if it's been changed.
No, me
right
neither.
Now.
No, and I don't think that they would make that decision right away. To be honest, I think they have to write up the decision and excuse me, make it formal. Like, I feel like it's like an order, like any other order. So.
The most they could maybe do, and this I would imagine this is the most they can maybe do, and based on our observations with a lawyer in Ottawa, is they could suspend him temporarily based on information as they're trying to finish off an investigation.
Yeah,
and based on that, they could do that.
Well, I don't believe he's willing to take those social media courses. Obviously,
shocker.
And it wouldn't help his narrative right now if he did that. And we saw, like I said, he just finished posting something about Canadians keep your kids at home because some class colored pride flags, like that was a problem because they were celebrating pride, whatever, like, give me a break. So he's doubling down, tripling down, and I hope he loses his license. He
absolutely agree.
He shouldn't be responsible for, like I said, he shouldn't have there should be no legitimacy to anything that he is saying. Yeah. Just, he needs to go away. I mean, he's not going to go away. He's going to end up being louder after all this is said and done, but it doesn't matter. He's not going to have his license, hopefully, and that's fine.
We're going to sit back and wait and see what happens.
He'll write a new book called 12 Rules on How to Lose Your License as a psychologist.
I'm pretty sure, and it's like other people have mentioned it before many times, I don't think he's even practicing right now. So he doesn't really need it, but that particular accreditation kind of adds to his sort of legitimacy.
That's exactly what it is. And he can no longer claim that he's a psychologist. Take it off your bio, your stupid Twitter profile. You're not a psychologist.
He could still say he's a trained psychologist. He's just not allowed to practice. There's wording you can do. I mean,
He can say he's trained in psychology. He can't say he's a trained psychologist because he's no longer a psychologist.
true. He's definitely not an active psychologist.
If he loses his license.
That's true. Last story of the evening.
Yes. We'll make it quick because we're already 11 o'clock.
I know some people need to go to bed.
Me too. Me included.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Cookie Lady.
Thank you, Cookie Lady. We always love you. I apologize for having your text cut off there, so remember that for next time. But Peterborough Public Library this weekend, Saturday, January 14th. Chuds are deciding to protest Peterborough's library drag show. Sorry, not drag show, but drag story time. Because, of course, they would. So they're going to be showing up there as it stands. King Nico and Crystal Peters, favorites of ours, are going to be there for sure. In fact, Crystal herself had a couple of nice things to say. They're coming for the children. Clutching her pearls as tightly as she can.
She's
Are
coming
you waking
for
up?
the children.
She's going to say something, but I was going to keep it family friendly. But yeah, so she's losing her shit because she's a dumbass. But luckily, we've heard word that there are counter protesters going to be there. Now, if you are able to go to Peterborough, though,
yeah, if you can go to Peterborough,
get there. Get out there, get there, show up, help out. Peterborough has got a small community of people that will be counter protesting. But it's a small community. There is a fair amount of right wing there. Plus, that right wing is going to be calling in favors from all over the area.
Yeah.
They usually do. So if you can go down there to help out, by all means do. They'll need the support. They'll need it. Anything you guys can do to come out to help, for sure, do it. Aside from that, that's pretty much it. I'm sure Deana might have a nice conversation with Crystal if she should get a chance to see her again.
Yeah, I mean this protest will be different than any other ones that I would normally attend. So we'll just have to wait and see how it goes in Peterborough.
It's true. So we're going to be keeping on watching that. We got some hope that there's going to be people showing up there. But again, if you guys can, and send out the message. If you guys can't go yourselves,
if you
send
have
out the message
friends
to
in
people
Peterborough or family in Peterborough, please tell
nearby.
them. I have some of my friends who are reaching out to their family and friends in Peterborough to come out, and I hope they can come out.
Again, as we mentioned before, the more people show up, the bigger the numbers, the more effect there is. The more the people get the message like, this is not acceptable. That's it, kids. That's our week. I don't know if we got anything else.
No. Thank you so much for joining us again today.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. We shall be here again next week. I'll be working on something for Saturday, and I'll probably be messaging you guys either today or probably tomorrow or Friday in regards to the plans for Saturday's next live stream.
Me too.
Till then, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.